Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are going to tackle menopause. It's a journey so many people go on, but let's be honest, it can feel super confusing and isolating. So our goal here is to cut through that noise, break down the science, and turn all that confusion into a clear, empowering guide.
All right, so here's how we're going to break it all down. We're going to start with those very first signs, the stuff that happens before the main event. Then we'll get into the why, the hormonal shifts that are driving everything. From there, we'll talk about navigating symptoms, building a practical self-care toolkit, getting a real understanding of hormone therapy, and finally, mapping out what the path forward can look like for you.
Okay, let's jump right in. Section 1 is all about the change before the change. This is a really crucial transition period that, for a lot of women, is where this whole journey really kicks off. So, does any of this ring a bell? It usually starts really subtly. You just feel different, not quite yourself. Maybe your cycles, which used to be like clockwork, are suddenly all over the place. Or you've got these new physical things popping up that you just can't explain. These are so often the very first whispers of the changes to come.
So this whole lead-up actually has a name, perimenopause. And here's the kicker. It's not some brief passing thing. It can actually start anywhere from 2 to 8 years before your final period. This is the runway, the time when your body's hormones and biology really start to shift gears.
Okay, so we know what it can feel like on the surface. But the big question is, why is all of this happening? To answer that, we got to look under the hood at the biological engine driving everything. And really, it all boils down to your hormones. So what is the actual, clinical definition of menopause? Well, it's pretty straightforward. It's the permanent end of your periods, which happens because the ovaries wind down their normal function. And a doctor makes that official call only after you've gone 12 full months in a row without a period. The most important thing to remember, this is a totally natural process, not a disease. This right here gets to the absolute heart of it. It's all about a massive hormonal seesaw. Before, your estrogen and progesterone levels are pretty stable, but as you get into this transition, your ovaries start producing way less, and your brain, trying to fix this, starts pumping out a ton more of something called follicle-stimulating hormone, or FSH, to try and get those ovaries working again. And honestly, this thermostat analogy, it is perfect. Think about it. Your body's control center, the brain, senses that the heat, your estrogen level, is dropping. So what does it do? It cranks up the furnace, pumping out more and more FSH, basically screaming at the ovaries to produce more heat. But over time, the ovaries just can't keep up, and that's when ovulation stops.
So this wild hormonal ride, it's not exactly quiet, is it? It shows up in a whole bunch of physical and emotional ways. So let's get into what you can actually expect to feel during this time.
All right, first up are the ones everyone's heard of, technically called vasomotor symptoms, or VMS, and they are super common. More than half of women deal with them. This is the bucket that holds those infamous hot flushes and drenching night sweats. And, no surprise, they can absolutely wreck your sleep and lead to insomnia. And let's be really clear about what a hot flush feels like. It's not just feeling a bit warm. The clinical description here is spot on. It's a sudden, intense wave of heat that just washes over your upper body and face. It's quick, maybe a minute or two, and then it's often followed by a wave of sweating.
But it's not just about the heat. There's this whole other category of symptoms called genitourinary syndrome of menopause, or GSM. This one's a big deal, affecting about half of all women after menopause. Because of low estrogen, the tissues in the vagina and urinary tract can be affected, leading to things like dryness, painful sex, and even bladder issues and more frequent UTIs.
And the impact goes way beyond the purely physical. That same hormonal roller coaster can seriously affect your emotional state. We're talking new irritability, anxiety, maybe crying spells, or just feeling low. It's also incredibly common to experience a dip in your sex drive, along with just feeling wiped out and having achy joints.
Okay, so you're dealing with all of this. What do you do? Where do you even begin? Well, the very first line of defense, and a really powerful one, is building your own personal self-care toolkit. And building this toolkit is all about taking back some control with smart, practical changes. To cool down those hot flushes, dressing in layers is a game changer, and maybe figuring out if things like caffeine or alcohol are triggers for you. For sleep, simple things like avoiding caffeine before bed can help.
And then you have the foundations, relaxation techniques, a good diet, regular exercise, and not smoking. These don't just help with symptoms now. They set you up for better health in the long run.
But look, for some women, lifestyle tweaks just don't cut it, especially when the symptoms are moderate to severe. And that's when the conversation often turns to menopausal hormone therapy, or MHT, and making a really informed choice about it with your doctor.
So what is menopausal hormone therapy anyway? Let's strip away the jargon. At its heart, MHT is a treatment that gives your body back some of the estrogen it's not making anymore. It's designed to tackle many of these symptoms right at their root cause, so you can make a choice that feels right for you.
Now, this is super important. MHT is not a one-size-fits-all solution. There are two main types, and the right one for you depends entirely on one simple fact: whether or not you still have your uterus. If you've had a hysterectomy, you can take estrogen by itself. But if you have a uterus, you need a combined therapy that adds a progestogen. And that's absolutely crucial to protect the lining of the uterus. In this slide, this really lays out the central conversation you'll have with your doctor. It's all a trade-off, a balancing act between benefits and risks. On one hand, the benefits can be huge. Studies show MHT can seriously improve mood, and it's fantastic for bone health, reducing fracture risk. But on the other hand, there are potential risks, especially around heart health and stroke. And those risks change depending on your age and when you start therapy. Okay, so we've covered the what, the why, and the how. Now, let's bring it all together. This last part is all about taking this knowledge and using it to chart a course that's safe, effective, and right for you.
So if you and your doctor decide MHT is the way to go, think of these as the golden rules for using it as safely as possible. Timing is everything. Starting it within 10 years of menopause or before you turn 60 is key. The mantra is simple. Use the lowest dose that works for the shortest time you need it. Using forms like patches or gels can also be safer. And of course, regular checkups with your doctor, that's absolutely non-negotiable.
At the end of the day, menopause isn't the end of the story. Not even close. It's a profound shift, a brand new chapter. And by understanding what's going on with your body and knowing all of your options, you're the one holding the pen. You get to decide how to write it and how to manage your health and your life on your own terms.